Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you guys can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. We are only speaking to transportation professionals on this show. All right. There's no wannabe thought leaders. There's no people who read an article and they want to sound cool. This is brought to you by transportation professionals for transportation professionals, you guys. We are putting information out there that you can apply, utilize, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. As you can see, I proudly fly this American flag behind me every single day for multiple reasons. A, we're the greatest nation on earth, but B, I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you guys live yours as well. I got a very special guest for you guys today. I'm going to bring her up in a second. You guys all love her. You love her product and everything that she stands for. But I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub. You guys, they're the ones who keep this neon light on behind me every single day. VHubApp.com. Whether you're a broker, carrier, or a shipper, we all need access to trailers at some point in time. And the best part about their product, you guys, is you get paid to move these trailers. That's right. That's on top of the revenue that you can get by loading this out. So what they're working on right now, you guys, is they have West Valley City, Utah, a van needing to go up into Calgary, Alberta. You get $15.50 US for that. That's on top of the revenue that you can get by loading that trailer out. Now, they have a big trailer pool sitting in Staunton, Wisconsin that they need brought over to Milton, Ontario. So if you're a broker and you get that objection all the time of, hey, we're asset only, now you technically can be. You can be to asset only. You can create a drop trailer pool at your shipper, at your customer, to bring freight into Canada and everything, you guys. And then they also have another one down. They have another $150 trailer pool down in Paragould, Arkansas, needing to get up to Mississauga. So again, you guys think creatively, think outside of the box, and you can get in the doors with some of the largest shippers in North America. And also, finally, they have Milton, Ontario to Moncton, New Brunswick. You get 400 Canadian to do that. So hit them up, you guys, vhubapp.com. My man Xavier Campos and my friend Stacey Steen, she'll be in the audience. Just do me a favor. Let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. Sonny Sharma says, good fucking Friday morning. Orange shirt gang in the house. Mike, Big Mike, what's up? He's with SPI Logistics, you guys. Him and Zach Williams are with SPI Logistics. If you guys want to become a freight agent, join the team over there, take control of your financial future, hit them up, you guys. That's where my agency's from. Freight Coach Logistics is ran through SPI Logistics. They're a phenomenal partner, you guys. JVR Freightline's most informative freight show out there. Good morning. Let's get it. Rebecca and Jason, JVR Freight. Love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, without further ado, Miss Cassandra Gaines is back in the show, finally.
Good morning, beautiful people. I'm so excited to be here. You always energize me, Jolly. Always.
It's because of all the coffee that I drink.
It's like 10:30. I'm like, it's time to get energized. It's time for Jolly. It's time to also, sometimes I go in the comments and I pick on your loyal followers. I
know.
I see them already chatting away.
I know. It's crazy. Here we go. And then they're all starting, that's what's, because like me and you, like you started the whole Mad Gains stuff a long time ago, but like at the beginning of COVID and all of that, you started going live like all the time, and you were talking about.
I was crazy about it.
Yeah. But it's like from an information and a content perspective, like I don't think people actually understand the value that you would put out there. Like you were giving away the game. And how to protect your organization. Cause like you talk to most freight brokers out there, like, oh, I just want to fucking stack dollars and, yada, yada, yada. But it's like, all right, but how do you protect your organization? Like, what do you do in a lot of these situations? And when you went in and, I thought you just like went underground completely because Cassandra just went MIA. Like Cassandra and I talk a lot.
Yeah, we do.
She went like MIA, and I'm like, fuck, I wonder what happened. And then she's like, hey, so I've been working on this thing called Carrier Talk. And I'm like, oh, cool. Great to hear from you. But yeah, let's talk. And leveraging your legal background into building this out. And I personally say, it's a one-of-a-kind product. Like there's nothing out there that goes along with it. How were you able to take everything and build it into a platform to properly assess who you're booking on your freight?
It was a long and fun journey to figure that out.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, if they're like, "Who the fuck is she talking? He's talking to?" Da, da, da. So I am a avid Chris Jolly follower, but I'm Cassandra Gaines, and I've been in the industry for the past 10 years as a transportation lawyer. And what Chris was talking about is when COVID hit. Chris and I just started going live all the time. Chris was providing resources, endless resources for brokers, and I was providing a lot of legal coaching, cargo claims, selecting the right carrier, like what to do with all these changing regulations. And we were going live all the time. And then Chris is right, I disappeared for a while. And it's because it was my moment to develop my dream. So I took my own money and I hired developers and data scientists. And I wanted to create a software that would predict how carriers are going to perform. So what we had to do is we had to take in all of this FMCSA data, and we had to look for anomalies in the data. We had to look for what are these carriers supposed to look like from a data perspective for the size that they are, for the type of freight that they transport. And then what do they look like when they're about to go out of business, or when you have to double broker your freight, or when they're running their trucks to the ground, they might not be able to afford whatever, their maintenance and anything else. So they're going to hold your loads hostage. So that's what I worked so hard on. You're right. I went MIA. I went crazy with it, Chris.
Yeah.
And then the prototype worked, and I got like a couple beta companies to test it, and it freaking worked. And then I got investors, and we built it out completely. And so I had to disappear again. And then we launched in June, and it's just like a credit score. You type in the carrier's MC number, and we give you a grade A through F. And, it's not so that you don't not hire the F carriers ever. It's so that you have a heads up. Hey, this is an F carrier. They're below the performance level that compared to their peers. So use them for a short haul, pay them less, use them for something easy, water bottles or pallets or whatever.
And I think that, that's what I love about it the most, because it's not a, hey, don't use this carrier at all. It's like, hey, select which freight you're going to put this carrier on. And, because again, it's like a lot of it is a crapshoot. This is why I tell you guys to use core carriers all the time out there, because as everything has progressed, I think that fraud has jumped through the absolute roof. I have a lot of gripes with how this industry isn't regulated, and how it's kind of like all the risk is put on the drivers and the brokers alike. But like there's these little services out there that aren't regulated that can kind of produce a lot of those things. And then, like that's kind of like my thing with the FMCSA is it's like, how are you not spotting these things? How are you not spotting that? Because like at Broker Carrier, we got a really awesome update coming out here, because the reason why people commit crimes is because like they're not held accountable. And like if you can do it one way, why change? You just keep reincarnating. And I think like, but then again, how your product ties in to protecting the brokers as a whole is it's like, like these last couple of years, capacity was super tight. Nobody knew, and there was so much new entrance into the industry. How can you tell? Is this going to work for me? Is this going to work for my customer? And this is why, like, again, when I talk about this a lot, when I say 95% of your day as a freight broker should be automated, like your product, that step should be automated, right? Like you should be able to tell what is the performance of this carrier, and any carrier out there, like it's directly related to your business's performance, and I think like that helps everybody out, because it's like, if maybe, you had a bad stretch, right? Everybody fucks up in business. I'll be the first one to raise my hand. I do it all the time. But you should never lose out on an opportunity where other softwares out there would tell their users, no, don't even work with that carrier at all. Where yours is like, no, this carrier is actually very much usable. I would just suggest it's on this freight.
100%. I want you guys to know that when Jolly, I don't know if you remember this, but when the product was, when it was just before we released it and it was still in beta, I demoed it for you. Mm-hmm. And I was very nervous to get your feedback, because you are very experienced. And when you hear Chris talk about, when you hear him talk about your core carriers and how to reduce risk and all the steps to take and everything he's done with Broker Carrier, I mean, that is exactly how the professionals do everything in the industry. So I was very nervous to show it to you. And you liked it. And I was like, oh my God, thank God. I'm not going to be a complete and utter fucking failure. I'm like, oh my God. But it is geared toward everything that you mention and coach about on your show and it's very helpful, by the way, when you have people who do not have your experience, who do not have like Cody Miller's experience. Many of the people watching this show, and they're newer and they've only known this market for the tight capacity and just book it. And now they're like, whoa, I don't know how to just designate this carrier to this shipment. I don't know. This carrier has 3 months of authority. They've got 20 trucks. I don't know how that's possible, but whatever. And I'm just going to give them this shipment of Nike because they're the cheapest and I make a good rep.
Yeah.
That might not be the best choice.
No, I agree with that. We're going to get into that here in a second. I got to give some shout outs here. Tracy O. St. Clair, happy Friday. Cody Miller says, good fucking morning, freight enthusiasts. Andre Stewart, good morning, freight fam. Thanks for joining in, Andre. Stephen M. Peterson, happy Friday. Let's fucking go. Cody says he's been using Carrier Assure a lot more lately with the recent spike in scam activity, and then a lot more data gets imported there by the day. It's provided to be a very useful tool. Lori O'Connell says, hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Hey,
baby.
That's what, because it's like people like people have a hard, like criminals don't care about the law, you guys, right? That's why they break it. Like, it doesn't matter what you throw out there. They're still going to fucking do that. Yeah. But how are you able to spot it though? Because I have some pretty tried and true methods because I've been doing this for a long time.
Yes, you have.
And a lot of the scammers out there, they're looking for the inexperience in your voice, right? Because I could tell that early on when I was brokering. I'm like, why are they talking to me this way? But then like my coworker gets on the phone and all of a sudden they fucking have all the answers. And it's like they're looking for that because, unfortunately, not everybody's your friend in the real world. In the sunshine and gumdrop land that you might have been raised in, everybody's nice. That's not how things work. And this is why I preach this all the time. It's very hard to do this to somebody who knows what they're talking about. So if your whole strategy in booking freight is picks here, delivers here, this is what it weighs, this is what it pays, you are a fucking prime target for scammers. Prime target. Because you don't know what you're talking about. But if you're out there asking them and you're vetting your carrier partners on top of this, because I've never met a real trucking company who didn't know where their drivers were located. I've never met a real trucking company who couldn't tell me what lanes that they like to run. That's never happened. So but so many people are so consumed. And again, like what you're talking about these last couple of years where it was easy, everyone was stacking cash and yada, yada. That exposes you so much more to fraud because you're not thinking about stuff because, oh, fuck, this guy just took it. I'm making 20. I don't give a shit.
That's exactly right there. That exactly is the mentality it's been right there. Sorry to interrupt you, but it's been a lot of, I don't give a shit. Like I'm making such good margins. I can take a cargo claim. I can take a double broker. Right now, that does not exist. Yeah. People are watching their freaking margins now. And they're pausing before they pick those really cheap carriers. And they don't know how to ask those questions, Chris. And I think that's why a lot of those scamming is going on. They're not paying attention to the contact information. So if carriers calling in or emailing, they're in a big hurry and they're trying to cover a load and they're used to habits from the last 3 years. And they don't know what questions ask. So how about this? I'll tell you what I see on the scammy business. And then Chris tells everybody, like operationally in the questions, I know this is probably naive and like basic for you, Chris, but for a lot of people, they don't know what questions to ask. Yeah. They don't. Yeah. So absolutely. For the scams, right? We all know right now, the hottest thing is the carriers calling in, pretending to be a carrier that they aren't. So I'm Cassandra Trucking. I'm not even Cassandra Trucking. I'm Cassandra Glendale, California. I'm going to rip you off. I'm going to call in as Jolly Trucking. And Jolly Trucking is great rating on Carrier Assure. They're fantastic, but I'm not really Jolly Trucking. I've got a completely different phone number I've called you on. I don't know shit about Jolly Trucking. I'm just going to take all their information from the FMCSA's website and just pretend. And I'm looking for people who aren't paying attention to the phone numbers or the emails coming in. But my problem is when I meet Chris, and Chris, what type of questions are you asking that people should be asking when they get that call? from a carrier.
Every single time anytime, because again, this is what I'm doing right now in my brokerage. I vet everybody just based off of the tonality of their voice. If they are, because again, if they don't know their MC number, like that's fucking biggest red flag number one. If they can't tell you, if they're like, and then like you can hear them typing, red flag number one. Or number two is, hey, try my sister MC.
Yep.
That is very illegal out there. And that's usually the dead giveaway, because if you're like, no, I'm not doing that, then they just hang up the phone most times, because again, they're looking for that easy scam. They're not looking for, oh, how can I manipulate this person with all this experience? They're looking for a quick buck. That's their whole fucking MO out there. Another one is they can't provide any information at all. They don't know what the truck number is. They don't know what the trailer number is. They don't even know what the driver's phone number is. But they're like, it's never that in depth. It's always, I got multiple drivers in the area. Dude, okay, so how many drivers do you have? I don't know, a lot. Perfect. I got all the time in the world. I need every truck number, every trailer number, every phone number, and driver name right now. Because again, a real trucking company, they would be like, no, we actually only have 2 trucks. Here they are. Or they'll be like, all right, smart ass, you want them all? Here they are. Fucking absolutely, I want them all. And again, 100%. It's like, are you really willing to roll the dice? Like, because everybody out there is getting a very harsh dose of how a real freight market works right now when they're prospecting shippers.
Yep.
Because everyone's good right now. Nobody needs your services. All right. So you put all this effort in, and then you're going to roll the dice to make an extra $50 on a load that everybody knows in their fucking gut. And those moments, I don't buy into that. They're that naive. Everyone knows in that moment, this person is a fucking scumbag. And one area I want to see highlighted is, what can the drivers do who are getting hosed? Because it's the small mom and pop trucking companies who are getting hosed massively right now on the double brokering thing, because most brokers are just going to pay the bill, hope their customer never finds out, and move on. But that carrier who hauled the load, actually, they're the ones who are getting hosed. And again, and I tell the carriers who watch this show, because fortunately a lot of drivers watch it, vet the shit out of your brokers, because I've never received a load that I didn't know how many pallets were on the trailer, or I didn't know what the commodity was, or, oh, hey, it's a work-in. Yeah, they fucking failed on it the day before, and they're hoping to get you loaded that day. Little things like that. Again, carriers need to vet their brokers 100 times out of 100. Because that's the one thing that's kind of not talked about a lot here, is it's always like, oh, fuck the double broker. Yeah, fuck those guys. But like, what about the trucking company out there who just lost out on $15,000? What about them? How are they protected? And then they don't have the cash reserves for the next 90 days until they finally piece it together. Like, oh shit, this broker was the one who actually did it. You know, I
think they're learning fast though. Just like brokers are learning fast that they need to ask the right questions. I think carriers are learning pretty fucking fast that they need to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
I think that I personally feel like a lot of the times they know that they're getting some kind of sketchy situation, some sketchy shipment, but they're running the risk because they've always gotten paid somehow.
Yeah.
Maybe they hire Baxter Bailey or one of those collection firms to drive the brokers and shippers nuts, but they've always gotten their money somehow. And I think that is about to change as well.
Yeah.
I think cash is kind of tight right now. I wouldn't say cash is tight. I would just say that people are more aware of their margins. I don't think I don't want to talk like our economy's bad or anything like that. I think personally, business has been great. I'm around a lot of people who's doing wonderful business and feeling great, but I think everybody's watching those margins really carefully.
Yeah. And that's always going to be the biggest thing, because I think greed is always going to be the thing that fucks most people out of business, is you're holding out too long, right? Like, or your arrogance. I'll call that, like, oh, I always book this land at $1,500. Fuck all these guys who want it for $1,700. I'm just of the firm believer, like, I want to be in a position to where I'm not concerned. Like, yes, I'm concerned about today, but as a business owner, I got to think the next 12 months. Am I really going to beat a guy or a carrier up over $50 or $100? Like,
yeah,
book it and move on with your day. Most importantly, develop an actual relationship. Might come as a shock to some people, but there are carriers out there who really want to work with brokers. All right. If you stay off of the fringe fucking Facebook groups about where everybody bitches at each other all the time. Again,
100%.
in all of my experience as a broker, I've been able to cultivate some very solid relationships with carriers. One text message, they're over there. They got it taken care of. They build me out more times than not. I feel like every time you go out to a load board to source your carriers, you are putting yourself at risk. Yes, there are quality drivers out there that are on the load boards, and I'm not saying that, but you expose yourself if that's your go-to again. If you move that same load multiple times a month, why aren't you working with the same handful of carriers? They need that revenue. They would do anything for that revenue, but you're like, but I could make an extra $50 a load.
Like, what kind of hamster wheel thinking is that every day, just on the hamster wheel going $50? You're not thinking outside of it. I just think that's so, like, I hear that so often. You know what I hear often when I'm demoing the product or I'm introducing the product for the first time to people? Only for some people do I ever hear this, but I always crack up in my mind when they say this. They're always like, Cassandra, like, how many F carriers are on your platform? How's that going to affect my margins when, you know, my sales reps, my carrier sales reps are going to see that F and then they're not going to book the load? I get that. And I think that's so interesting. I always tell people the same thing, which is all of our ratings are analytics, and we do classroom style, like compare carriers to each other. Everything's bell curved. So you're not going to have, we score 400,000 carriers, right? You're not going to have like 300,000 that are F'd. It just doesn't work like that. But at the same time, I want people to pause and think, like, when you use those F carriers, I hope you're listening to what the freight coach just said, because you may be a little bit cheaper, but with them are going to cause a lot of problems. They're going to cost you more money. And that's what everybody's shifting toward. I want better service for my customers. I want less bullshit that's eating away at my margins. Is that $50 really worth it? So Chris, I have to tell you something funny. I had a trial with a company, a big company, and they had like 300 users or 400 users with my company. We gave them a month, and we were like, all right, here's the rule. You're not allowed to hire an F or D carrier without your manager's approval.
Yeah.
So at least you're talking to your manager about why are you picking this carrier, making better carrier selection conversations, maybe using less the one and dones. So one of the managers was all mad because he hates the change. Everybody hates change, but he gets on, he's like, well, Cassandra, I spot check it, and like 80% of my carriers that are on my list are F carriers. And I think that's bullshit. And I'm like, I do too. What are you going to do about it? Because that's that's like, I'm sorry, but when we say that they're an F carrier, there's really specific reasons why.
Yeah.
Like, how much bullshit you got going on in your room, and how many customers are you losing?
Yeah.
Like, it was just very interesting. I do have to say that your partner brokerage SBI is definitely a user of Carrier Sure.
Oh, they are.
And I love them to pieces. And there's Mike. Great company, and definitely a company that sees the future and is paying attention to what's going on.
Oh,
sorry, that was longer than I expected, but
it's all good.
I had to tell you that story because I thought you'd think it was funny.
Oh, I have a lot to say on that. Hold your thought there. Montre Lincoln, good morning. He's watching over on YouTube, you guys. I go live over there too, if you guys want to check that out. Louis Montano says, good morning. It's an amazing day. Amen to that. He said, one reason I started being a broker is I don't like that, and to help drivers educate them about other brokers. And yeah, Sonny, you never know what may be happening in the future behind closed doors. We'll see.
Stay tuned. And for those of you who are listening, he just talked about Broker Carrier and Carrier Sure doing something.
Yes, possibly, potentially, maybe.
I would be honored.
We would too. Cody Miller says, before pickup, call the driver and broker direct if they book through a dispatcher and have a quick convo. It's a great way to build relationships and if that. And if things don't match up, cancel the truck order, give it back the load, and source a new truck. Amen. Nathan says, good fucking morning, Cassandra. He's got the old salute going up there. You're on Twitter. I am on Twitter too. Thanks for the reminder. Yes, honey, that's very accurate. But, you know, I think like for any of my friends out there who are drivers who are listening to this, when she is alluding to an F carrier, realistically, it's you're doing some fraudulent shit. And you've been caught doing that fraudulent shit. Like
there's three categories of F carriers. And soon, Chris, I want you to know, soon I am going to distinguish between the three.
Yeah.
But the one that's the most serious is exactly what you said. We've identified them as being some type of double brokering, scammy. You're a dispatch company. You don't really have trucks. You're something. that is going to result in double brokering and scam. So there's that one. Then there's another one where it's you are brand new. We don't have a lot of data on you. We don't know a lot about you. You're like that 18-year-old with a credit score.
Yeah.
Just test them out and be careful.
Yeah.
Then the third is going to be the people who really need to learn how to manage their business better.
Yeah.
And they're not doing a very good job, perhaps maintaining their trucks, overseeing their drivers. Maybe they brought on a ton of owner operators and they don't know what they're doing. And so what that means to you is, again, test them out, get your own personal experience, and then see how they do. Because it's just like a credit score. It's just a gauge, you guys. So you won't get blindsided and surprised come Monday morning when the shipment is gone.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, it said they had 50 trucks and 2 inspections and they've been in business for 2 years. What happened? It's not that easy, y'all. It's not that easy.
I know. Data doesn't lie, you guys. And it's, but I think like if you're new, a brand new entity out there, there are plenty of brokers who will work with you in that instance, because again, we've all started. Cassandra was day one in business once. I was day one in business once. You got to start somewhere. But I think like you do a couple of shipments, your shit's going to skyrocket up very, very fast. It's just like when you said you're 18 and you're 18 here, you're a fucking 280 credit score. Congratulations. It doesn't matter. You suck. That's just what they're going to say.
But there are credit card companies that will still loan you money. You build your credit card.
88%
your credit. There's nothing wrong, you guys. Use the F carrier, but use them smart. Babysit the shit out of them. Maybe buy shipper's interest. Maybe give them something that only goes 400 miles. See how they do. Babysit them. And then once you have your own experience, make your own decisions.
Yeah, I agree. And I think like just the way things are, but I also think like it's that much easier to separate yourself. Like, because everybody is always like, oh, it's so competitive. Yeah, there's a lot of bad like it's so much easier to separate yourself. So it's like, even if you do start out at a certain level, you're going to skyrocket up quick, and like you work with those providers time and time again, or hell, like I advocate all the time, every driver, every trucking company out there should have direct shipper relationships. You shouldn't be solely reliant on the spot market. Tony Darnell, he's been on the show. He's told you guys how to do it. He is a shipper. He doesn't need drayage service though. I have to, that's the disclaimer every time I mention this, stop asking him about drayage. But he's like my friends that are shippers who come on this show, you guys, whether you're a broker or a carrier, they tell you how to solicit business the right way and how you can get those direct partnerships that are out there. But, I feel like rest assured though, there's so much opportunity in this industry, and you don't have to do anything revolutionary or disruptive, whatever the fucking latest buzzword is. You have to show up and service your customers, right? And you need to make the right decisions. The right decision isn't always the most comfortable decision. It might not be the one that's most favorable for you in the moment. But if you're truly in business for the long term, if you're truly looking to build a legacy company to provide American jobs for your community or whatever that looks like, you need to make sound decisions. You're not always going to win. It's not winning every day in business. That's not the reality. I've made a lot of money and I've lost a lot of money. I've invested a lot of money. I bootstrapped everything. I take the shit very seriously because I don't look at a customer as replaceable, because I know the acquisition cost that comes along with it. And I also understand if I don't provide exceptional customer service that leads to customer loyalty, my kid doesn't eat. That's very serious to me. And this is one of those situations, you guys, where if you invest in the right technology, this makes that takes that pressure off so much more, because you're putting the right people out there. Because again, you guys, fraud is only going to increase. All right. It's only as this market and as the economy is performing the way it is right now, people get fucking desperate, you guys. And as the carrier assures come out that make it harder and harder for them, they're going to get more and more desperate. So you need to take this shit seriously. I know you don't even need to say anything on top of that, Cassandra, because that's about
no, I'm going to let that sink in. That's why I didn't say a peep. I'm just going to let that sink in, because everything he's saying is exactly right. And then 3 months from now, people are going to be like, "Oh, Chris did say that. Oh my God!" Before we wrap up, what's new for broker carrier lately? Well, I know that broker carrier is fantastic for those who are trying to better their capacity pool and have a powerful capacity for their shippers. Yeah,
it's our bread and butter is it's a capacity management platform. We are out there ranking your carriers based on the freight that they do for you, and carriers that are set up inside of your system it gives you, like, again, don't go out to the load board. You already have, everybody brags about having 40,000 vetted carriers in their system, yet they go to the load board and set up fucking 5,000 a day. Use that capacity that's in there. And that's our main thing is, again, it's like as fraud becomes more and more rampant and everything else, use your in-network carriers, increase your on-time percentages, free up your carrier reps from going into 17 different things to try and book a load, and use this stuff day in and day out. Yes, we have a onboarding tool. You can get your carrier set up in less than 30 seconds with our stuff. It's very driver friendly because we actually took it as, yes, like our users are brokers, but the end user is the carrier. So we spent a lot of time talking to carriers about, hey, what would you like to see in an onboarding platform? We got all that. And then we got some really exciting shit coming out here that I can't talk about because my business partner says, stop running your mouth about shit. And so there's a lot of cool stuff that is going to be combating a lot of the hot button issues right now. Cause I think we've cracked the code on a lot of this shit. I think we have. So that's where we're at.
And you reinforce positive and powerful habits that people in brokerages and shippers can build. Like, I just love that point. Like, why are you going to load boards? You just bragged that you have 30,000 carriers or 15,000 carriers that you vetted and they're active in your software. What are you going to a load board for?
I know. It's so true. You're on a road show.
I think it is because they're on a platform, Chris, that they can't, that doesn't facilitate that type of,
See, Sonny, like our users are our best marketers. Our users of our platforms are our best marketers. Look at that. She says she feels this. Claudette says, I feel this in my soul. Sunny Sharma says, if anyone has any questions about broker carrier, please feel free to call me. Sunny's a very fantastic user of broker carrier amongst our other users of broker carrier.
And Claudia, I would tell you to go on carriersure.com. So carrier, ASSURE.com. Click on the pricing button. You can see there's a promo code right there. It's like 30 days free. Sign up. And then what you should do, and click the upgrade button, type in the promo code, you get it for free for 30 days. If anything gets fucked up, you just email us, we'll help you. But what I want you to do is for those cargo claims that you're dealing with, I want you to look at the MC number, I want you to type it into our software, and you will quickly find a correlation between low performing carriers on my platform and cargo claims. And we've had brokers run analytics. Some of our customers run analytics on all the carriers that cause cargo claims, drop loads, problems, and then the correlation between the D and the F carriers in our platform. And the correlation is very tight. You'll be very interested in that. If I'm wrong, you can post it on my feed, or you can tag me and just say it in LinkedIn. Fuck you, Cassandra, you're wrong, but I'm not wrong.
If that's not a guarantee, I don't know what is. Where are you going to be at? Like, what shows are you going to be at here coming up? Because I think people are going to want to talk to you. If you're seeing her at shows, go up and say hi to Cassandra.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to be at Food Shippers coming up, and there's a couple others, but the most important one is when you see Chris Jolly, the freight coach, at TIA in his orange shirt and his hat. I'll be tagging along right behind him. One time I snuck up and hugged him and embarrassed the shit out of him. I'll be right there with him, bothering the heck out of him. But I'll be at TIA, and we're happy to show the product to anybody at TIA and answer any questions. And you can always just reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's Cassandra Gaines. Sunny, I'm so excited. I would be happy to show you the product or talk to you, just shoot the shit. I love that people are supporting Broker Carrier because it's driving the great habits that make us much better at our business.
That's it. We're all about keeping people in business. Cassandra just put out there where you guys, she's going to come back, you guys, again. I had to give her like a month notice, be like, hey, when can I have you back on the show? Because, she's out there. She's hustling. And like, that's what I love.
Hustling, baby.
You've been in Orlando like for the last month, I think. You're out in Vegas. Or did you just like stay in Vegas for a couple of weeks?
Yeah, that was exhausting, Chris. I'm not the biggest fan of Vegas. I really am not. I think you were at a show with me in Vegas not too long ago too. And I think you were okay with it, but I'm like, Vegas exhausts me. One day, I'm like, okay.
I personally think Vegas is like one of my least favorite cities to go to. Like I think if you've done it, like it's a 36-hour city. I think if your intention is to last flight in Friday night, first flight out Sunday morning, you'll have a great time in it. But going there for work, it's tough because like day one, everyone is like energized. Day two, everyone's fucking drunk or hungover.
And then hurting because they're so dehydrated and they're so
Yeah.
overwhelmed and they lost money and they're just like,
Exactly.
I want to go home.
I think the next trade show in Vegas needs to have a IV booth at the trade show.
Okay, wait, don't tell anybody that idea anymore, because what I think you should do is make it like the freight coach IV. Like, you're going to charge people. You'll contract with a company and it'll be like literally the freight coach. It'll be IV station. People will pay to have the IV, and then you'll sit there and you'll be like, well, how's your business fucked up lately? And let me tell you what your problem is and your solutions.
Yeah.
You're
the
welcome.
last thing they want to hear is me judging them in those moments.
While they're getting IV and they're hungover and they're like, oh my God. But they'll listen to you, Chris. They listen to you.
That's true. But hey, that's it for today. I got a special guest coming in on Monday, you guys. We're going to talk about hostage loads on Monday and how to deal with them and spot a lot of those. You know him, our friend Jason. You're aware.
Oh, yes. Oh, Jason. He's always got good advice.
He's got a ton of good advice. But
I know he's pretty angry about hostage loans right now.
I know.
And I don't blame him.
But that's it for today, you guys. The Freight Coach Morning Show. As always, if you guys saw value in this, share the show. That's how we've grown into where we are. And that's how we're going to continue to grow, you guys, is by you guys sharing it. Because if you guys see value in it, your network's going to see value in it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And we'll be talking to you soon.